Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's 6:07 PM, call to the order of the regular meeting of the Board of Education agenda, July 8th, 2019. May I have a pledge of allegiance, please, by Lucy Alvera, Director of Nutrition Services? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Lucy. May I please have a roll call?
Governing Board Member Garcia. Here. Governing Board Member De Leon.
Present.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Here.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Here.
And Governing Board Member Gomez.
Here. Now we're going to go to the approved agenda, July 8th. May I have a motion to approve the regular meeting agenda of July 8th, 2019?
I'll move.
Vivian Hanson made the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second. Okay, I do need to
Sure.
make some changes.
Sonia De Leon made the second.
Garcia. Linda Garcia
I'm sorry, Linda Garcia, sorry about that. Any discussions or any comments on the agenda?
Yes, Madam President, I'm sorry it took me a little bit to get to this page. We do have two changes that I am requesting, board members, on consent item 3.3C, which is on page 49. This item needs to be corrected in two areas to reflect what the amount that is on the actual contract. I'm turning to it right now.
Page 40.
Page 49.
Yes.
Yes.
The one on page 45 doesn't agree with the one on 49, the amount.
Yes, so it
That was the
states,
change?
the payment to the officer is 94, the probation officer is $94,000. On page 45, the agenda item states that it's in the body of it, second paragraph, that it's 68,000 plus any adjustments to salary, and the fiscal impact is 68,000 also. We need to change where it says fiscal impact to 94,000, as well as change in the body of the agenda item, background information, 94,000, to mirror the contract and be consistent. So I ask board members that that change be made. And once we do that, I have one more item on page 107. If you look at the bottom of page 107, it says under comments, all figures quoted are exclusive of sales tax. So Naviance is a college preparatory exploratory service that we have via computer for our middle and high school students. We are expanding it next year to include middle school. However, part of this is for professional development, which is a service, and part of it is the license agreement. So in order to ensure that the taxes are included, I ask you to turn to page 103, where fiscal impact states that $76,313.90 from LCAP supplemental and concentration funds that we add, plus any applicable sales tax on product. Plus any applicable sales tax on product. And thank you, President Gomez for bringing this to our attention. And those are the two changes to the agenda for this evening that I am requesting, board members.
Thank you. Any other changes? No? So none. May I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia,
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta,
Yes.
and Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes. Now we'll go to special meeting minutes, June 4, 2019. May I have approval, may I have a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting held on June 4, 2019?
I'll move.
Vivian Hanson made the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Yesenia Cuarenta made the second. Any questions, any discussions? So none, may I please have a vote?
Governing Board Member Garcia,
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta,
Yes.
and Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes. Now, I was absent on the regular meeting of June 24th, but I will ask for an approval of the minute. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on June 24th, 2019?
I'll move.
That was
Garcia?
Garcia. Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Vivian Hanson made the second. Any questions, any comments on the agenda? So none, may I please have a vote?
Governing Board Member Garcia,
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta,
Yes.
and Governing Board Member Gomez.
I was absent, so 4-0 vote. I was absent. The agenda passed. Now we're going to reports. Employee, sure there's something here. No. Employee representative report, reports on contractual issues and/or items of interest to bargaining units, members. Is Kim Goldford here? Okay.
Good evening, President Gomez, Dr. Perez, other board members, executive cabinet, and our wonderful audience. My name is Rhea Parkin, and I am the 3-5 director for TAP. I always like to start off with a joke or two, so here we go.
Hold on one moment. I don't think the speaker's on.
Oh, you gotta tap it.
We want to hear your joke.
Okay. Why did the dinosaur cross the road? Because it was a chicken's day off.
Oh.
Wow, okay, tough crowd. Because Kim Goforth is still on vacation, yippee for her, she asked me to represent TAP. Teachers are still enjoying their well-deserved time off. I hope all of you get some time for yourself soon as well. One last joke. I hope I can redeem myself. Why is 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9. Okay, I guess I'm going to stick to my day job, teaching. All right, we have a little something for you.
Morales is a politician.
Midas.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yum.
Oh, thank you. Oh, my gosh. Emergency stash. This is good stuff.
Very nice. Thank you. Cool. Wow.
Oh,
Very, very nice.
Yes.
Very nice. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Is someone from the,
CSE, just ask.
is anyone here from CSA? Oh, there is. Okay, perfect.
Do you have goodies?
I have some as well. You'll have to excuse me. I'm very, very nervous. I've never been up here to speak, and I want to thank you all for allowing me to come up here. Very, 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 very good to see Ms. Garcia here.
Thank you.
I'm very happy to see you. My name is Alex Maldonado. I'm on the Negotiations Committee and Executive Committee for CSEA. And I just wanted to report or thank you guys for voting on our sunshine. We're going to present to you for our contract. And we did have, as far as negotiations, some movement forward on our ongoing discussion for librarians, hoping that we're meeting kind of in the middle, somewhere where we can both compromise and come to an agreement and move forward with this. And we really appreciate your support and appreciate the district and especially our executive team for meeting for so many hours and all the donuts and all the time and effort, honestly, that you guys put forward. I mean, I know that it's a tough thing to have to do, and we appreciate all your effort. And thank you guys so much.
Thank you. That's it. So now we'll go to number 2, board members report, reports on visits to school, conferences attended, or scheduled meetings. We'll go with first board member Garcia.
Good evening, and I'm glad to be back. And I just want to let everyone know that I want to thank you for your prayers and well wishes. I'm really humbled over that, and I thank you and hope you continue to pray for me. First of all, I want to talk about Topeka Sister City. Their meetings are held on Tuesday. The next meeting will be August 20th and at Paramount Park. And on September, I'm not sure what date, it will be Dia de Muertos. You can rent a booth if you want to cook, or you can rent a spot to set up an altar for your family. And it's if any of you have not ever been there, it's really fun, and it's very interesting to see the culture that they do in parts of Mexico. Also, Topeka is formally forming a committee to establish a cultural community garden to reflect longstanding friendship between the city of Paramount and Topeka. We encourage students and school clubs and PHS Green Club to join us in designing a beautiful piece of artwork and cultural plants to be located at Paramount Park. And they've had a few meetings on that already, and they have like a committee. It's really going to be beautiful. It's going to be on the backside of the center there. And that's all.
Thank you, board member Garcia. Now we'll go to board member De Leon.
Good evening. Thank you for being here. For the past 5 days, I was in Houston, Texas. I actually arrived at my home at 5:50, so it was like a rush. I attended the NEARA, which is known as the National Education Association, a representative assembly, as a state delegate for the California Teachers Association. And I'm not going to go into detail of what we did, but certain phrases kept coming up, and those phrases were respect, teacher respect, and that's something that I fully believe. And not only do I believe, but we did have 10 candidates for the presidency attending, such as Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, and so forth and so. And they also said, yes, teacher respect is a must. So it's not just me saying it, but this fully helped me to understand that it's just not my prerogative, but it's a national prerogative, so that we need to change. Also, student wraparound services, full funding education, and holding our presidents and anyone who are elected into govern, that we hold everyone responsible. Educators are leaders that advocate for democracy, and stop children deportation or stop children concentration camps, which I also attended protesting the concentration camps for children in Texas, Houston. Besides that, this weekend I will be attending my last Master's in Governance course as a board member, which I'm really happy for. And that just goes further details into what it means to be fully engaged as a community, as parents to be engaged, as businesses to be engaged with our district. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you.
Thank you, board member De Leon. Now we'll go to board member Hanson.
Thank you. I haven't, the only thing I attended since the last board meeting is a retirement celebration for 3 of the folks that were retiring from adult ed. And I hope that people are getting a rest during the summer. And I know that HR has been very busy. When we look at the agenda, you guys have been interviewing and hiring and moving. And yes, Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Board Member Hanson. Now we'll go to Board Member 40.
Hey, good evening. I had the honor of joining our Paramount educators during teacher training. It's encouraging to see the dedication of our teachers, the dedication they have in order to improve themselves and better prepare themselves for our students. So thank you.
Thank you, Board Member 40. And now for myself, since I was not here at the last meeting, I just want to make sure I say that I did go to Buena Vista High School graduation. I went to the Paramount Adult School transition graduation. I went to the Paramount High graduation, and I also went to Holidale promotions. Besides that, the last week of June, I attended the Turnaround Arts Conference along with Sue Sekeli, who is the principal of Zamboni Middle School, Kim Chavez, who is assistant principal, and Tamara Calero Hill, who is a counselor at Zamboni Middle School. The Turnaround Arts brings arts education to the forefront in school improvement. Research shows that students engaged with arts have a higher likelihood of graduating high school and going on to college. This program brings in art supplies, musical instruments, training to teachers, principal coaching, strategic planning, and community partnership. At the conference, Turnaround Arts demonstrated exercises that schools can use as part of the arts. They showed us an exercise called what is in a name. One would answer some questions such as what your name means, what number is your name, what color, what it is made of and why, who you might be named after, what kind of weather your name might be, and then you make a poem and ask, what, if anything, in this poem stood out to you that the author said about your name? And they gave an example. It's a young lady, and this poem is by the name, my name, and is by Chicana poet Sandra Cisneros from the House of Mango Street. In English, my name is Hope. In Spanish, it means too many letters. It means sadness. It means waiting. It is like the number 9, a muddy color. It is the Mexican records my father plays on Sunday mornings when he is shaving, songs like Sobbing. It was my great-grandmother's name, and now it's mine. It was a horsewoman too, born like me in the Chinese New Year's of a horse. I would like to have known her, a wild horse of a woman, Esperanza. I have inherited her name. At school, they say my name's funny, as if its syllables were made out of tin and hurt of roof of their mouth. But in Spanish, my name is made out of softer something like silver, not quite as thick as my sister's name, Magdalena, who at least can come home and become Nine. But I am always Esperanza. I would like to baptize my name under a new name, a name like a real me, the one nobody sees, Esperanza, as Lizarda or Maritza or Cici, the X. Yes, something like Cici, the X will do. And so they showed us this, and we sat around the table, a room, and each of us said something like that. And this helps the student come out and be outspoken, not be shy, not be, and so I thought that was really interesting. They also had another exercise called Beat the Odds. Beat the Odds integrates activities from group drumming and group counseling to build core social emotional strengths such as focus and listening, team building, positive risk-taking, self-esteem, awareness to others, leadership, expressing feelings, managing anger and stress, empathy and gratitude. Principal Sikali is looking to bringing Beat the Odds to the Zamboni Middle School this fall. And I actually brought our board members and whoever would like in the audience, I don't have that many for the audience though, a study from Wilder Intermediate School, a report on the outcomes of the school-wide implementation of the Beat the Odds. And I thought it was very interesting so that the board members could have. There's 2, 3, 4. Thank you. This is yours. And if anybody in the audience would like to see it after, we can put it out there for them.
Oh, they use it in Santa Ana, huh?
Yes. So after the Turnarounds Conference, we attended the 15th Annual Schools to Watch Leadership Conference. We were joined by Superintendent Dr. Perez, Robin McPherson Tosa, and Alan Sohm, counselor. Zamboni presented connectedness to schools and the overall impact this has to student success and academic achievement. An overall of the 3-year plan implemented to reach this was the heart of their presentation. In addition, the Zamboni team and I had the privilege of attending an advocacy meeting on the Hill with Congresswoman Licio Roybal Allard. This was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. We were there when they were called in for a vote, and she took us to the House of Representatives to see the voting in action and then arranged for a special tour of Congress. Overall, our entire trip was very informative, and it was a pleasure getting to learn so much about these two programs. It was such an honor to see Zamboni Middle School receive the 2019 Redesignated Schools to Watch Award. And that's all I have for myself.
Awesome.
Okay, so now we will go to on number 3, Superintendent's Report, reports on visits to school, conferences attended, and legislation, meetings and or activities scheduled throughout the district, recognition and accommodations.
Thank you, Madam President. As you shared, I had the pleasure of attending in Washington, D.C., the award ceremony, and I'd like to provide a shout out to the Big Z, Zamboni Middle School, for redesignating as a school to watch. Much to be proud of. We also had the pleasure of being a part of the presentation of all the things that they are doing. One of the things that I walked away from this particular awards and presentation this time, because our middle schools are so wonderful that, as you know, all of them are schools to watch, but you do have to redesignate. You have to keep it up. You have to work hard every 3 years. They send the team out to see the school in action. So it's not just a one-time award. If you want to keep that title, you have to keep working hard. So I congratulate the Big Z on that this time. But one of the things that I did walk away from with the presentation from Zamboni is that it's not just one thing, particularly at a middle school, but it really applies to all, that makes a school great. It's a lot of things put together. It's the culture of the school with students, it's the programs that they have provided for students. It's the interventions that they have provided for students. It's the addressing the social emotional learning needs of our students. It's engaging parents at the site as well. And Zamboni has worked really hard to have all those pieces in place, as do our other middle schools, because it's really hard to say, oh, it was this one thing that got them the award. It's not. It's a lot of things working together. And obviously, a lot of people are involved in making all of those things work on behalf of our students at the school. So I congratulate the school for their hard work on that. This evening, board members, I have the pleasure of introducing to you some administrators that you have approved at the last board meeting. We do this as a tradition because we realize that we are all engaged. As one of our board members said this evening, we're doing a lot of interviewing, especially during the summer, and we bring to you recommendations after having a process in place where we engage for example, our Teachers Association, our CSEA Association is represented on the committee, as well as sometimes the principal and other key personnel, but you don't get to see a face when we do that. So we respectfully ask that our administrators that are approved by the board, that they come and present themselves to you. And this evening, we have 2 of them before you. And I have to comment that one of them is one of our own who has been in the district a long time, and we take a lot of pride and happiness to see our own people, rise to levels of management in our district. And the reason for that is because the board continuously approves a lot of professional development for our teachers and for our administrators. So there is a great investment in the professional growth of our employees in the district. So that investment, it's wonderful when we have needs such as principal, assistant principal, director, when we can have our own people promoted into those positions. Plus, the benefits is that they know our district, they know our children, they know our community, and obviously, if they've been with us a long time, they're committed to them. And then we also appreciate bringing in new administrators that come to us with experience from other districts and that can provide a fresh perspective, fresh eyes with ideas of things that we may not have thought about that may be able to enhance our academic programs, as well as our social emotional programs for our students. So it's really such a great benefit to have a diversity of employees in the district working together. That synergy, just like diversity in our district, really empowers us to get better and better when we can all move together and work cohesively and collaboratively together as we do with our administrators. So this evening, I'm first going to introduce you, board members, to one of our own who you have appointed as the new Director of Special Education, and that is Dr. Elida Garcia.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Perez, and our executive cabinet, as well as our community members out in the audience. I thank you for the opportunity transitioning from the early childhood education department over now to special education. When I started Paramount several years ago, I was very impressed with the strong dedication that came from the staff, the high level of instruction that we were giving in our classrooms, as well as the community support. Our parents kept returning back to the district. They were very proud that their children would be going to the same schools they went to when they were young. And now I've seen that in special education as well. The level of expertise in the department is incredible, as well as when you go into the special education classrooms, you truly see that the children are really working on those same type of skills and concepts that are being taught in general education. And of course, we will strive to continue to make those efforts in the future. And I welcome collaboration and anything else that's possible to make our programs even better. Thank you for the opportunity again.
Thank you.
And just for your information, board members, Dr. Garcia received her bachelor's in psychology from UCLA, master's degree in counseling, school psychology from California State University, Northridge, and her doctorate is from Pepperdine University in educational leadership and policy. She has a vast experience in education, having previously served as a school psychologist, a parent involvement facilitator, and a grants administrator for 12 years in nearby Hawthorne Unified School District. She was also a professor with Loyola Marymount University for 2 years, and she then worked as a family literacy facilitator for 5 years for LACO. So for the past 7 years, she has worked successfully as the Early Childhood Education Program Director in our district. So we're very pleased to have her. Thank you, board members, for supporting that recommendation. And now I have the privilege of introducing to you, board members, our new principal for the largest high school in the state of California, Paramount High School. This is a courageous woman. Her name is Christiana Kraus, as you know, and Christiana received her bachelor's degree in history and kinesiology and her master's degree in physical education administration from Cal State University, Dominguez Hills. She has a social studies background, PE teacher background for 7 years. She's a local girl, Santa Fe High School, Whittier Union High School District. She then served as the assistant principal of guidance for 4 years at California High School and the assistant principal of curriculum for 3 years at Pioneer High School in Whittier. In 2014, she was principal at Covina High School in Covina Valley Unified School District. And for the past 2 years, she's been working, believe it or not, as a trainer or a facilitator, I'm sorry if I'm a leadership solutions advisor, a trainer for capturing kids' hearts, which is which is as you know, a training a professional development philosophy that you have approved for our 9th grade center, for Jackson, Alondra, and others, on how we can build relationships with students to help them feel that they are valued and that we want them to succeed. So we have someone with that experience right next door to the 9th grade center, which will be implementing this next year. So she and, of course, and the principal at the 9th grade center will be working very closely together. But very impressed with Christiana. The team that interviewed said that she just, when we speak at the end, she exhibited great strength and enthusiasm, student focus. She's an educator who works hard, obviously, in talking to former superintendents that recommended her. She works hard to provide the resources and conditions that students need to be successful. So with that, I introduce Ms. Christiana Kraus.
Thank you for having me, Board President Gomez, Board of Education, Superintendent Dr. Perez, and Cabinet. It is truly a pleasure to be serving for your school district. It has been an amazing first month. The students have been wonderful, warm, and welcoming. We have been out there greeting them at the gates, and I let them know, yes, I'm their new crazy principal who's going to smile at them every day and be shaking their hands. And they have been just so gracious and kind. The staff has been warm and friendly at the district and at the site, truly showing and navigating and giving me time to really explore how Paramount works. And so I feel like I am on the ground running so quickly because of everyone being so gracious to me. I do want to know, I want to say thank you to Anna, who's here tonight as my assistant principal, Anna Yasuhara. She has just been tremendous, and I feel like I've known her for years, and it's been a few weeks. And so I thank you tonight for being here, and actually all the support and guidance you've been giving me these last few weeks together. So thank you for that. And again, thank you for this opportunity to really be able to serve this community. It truly is an honor, and I commit to be here and serving well. So thank you so much.
Would you introduce your family?
Yes. So we're small but mighty. So I don't forget anybody, I'm just gonna go from the front row. My husband, Jose, is right there. My oldest son, Connor. My niece, Maya. Good wave. My sister-in-law, Soraya. My brother-in-law, Jesus. My nephew, Junior. Over there, I have my mother-in-law, Guadalupe. My father-in-law, Sigifredo. My sister-in-law, Vitalia. My younger son, Colin. Wave, buddy. There you go. And then my mom, Kathy. So that's our family, and we follow each other everywhere and support each other. So I brought them all. So that's my world right there. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, congratulations.
Thank you, board members, and thank you, Christiana and Alida. Alida, I didn't see that you brought family, right? Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so thank you. The next item on the agenda, board members, is per your request. You directed me to do a survey or engage an organization that could do a survey of our community and ask about the potential to put on the ballot in 2020 term limits. And per your direction, we engaged Probalski, a company, and today Adam Probalski is here to share with you the results which were provided to us last week and that you have in your possession. Adam. And Mr. Frutos.
Just take a second. All right. Thank you very much, board members and staff. My name is Adam Probalski. My firm, Probalski Research, does opinion and market research, mostly for government agencies, and we're based here in California. So we did a voter survey since the subject matter we're talking about would come potentially before the voters, and that's who we spoke to, all within the district boundaries. I'll very quickly look at a lot of words here. This is the methodology to make sure you understand it was statistically valid. We talked to 300 voters within the district. We gave them the opportunity to speak to us on the telephone in either English or Spanish, or respond online. Unique to the district, we had a very low percentage of people who wanted to speak to us, respond online. It's okay. We talked to more people on the telephone. But on the telephone, we also talked to people on landlines and mobile phones. It's 2019, so more than half of America is cell phone only. It turns out that 88% of respondents in the school district prefer cell phones. So that's how we spoke to them. And 13% of the respondents chose to speak Spanish in our survey. We don't suggest that means that they only speak Spanish, and we don't suggest they're the only ones that speak Spanish. It's that those are the ones that preferred Spanish in their response. And just to give you a kind of a baseline, 300, some people might say, oh my gosh, that's a very small number for such a large school district. Statewide, we might do 900 completed surveys to get a very clear picture of what's happening statewide. So 300 is quite robust, actually, for a school district this size. This slide just kind of gives a sense. We ask what's your top issue facing your school district. This is just a word cloud that shows kind of the words that show up with intensity. The bigger ones are, and this is how we categorize it. This is just kind of a lead-in question to get people interested in the topic and making them feel like we're caring about what they have to say. More important, quite frankly, than anything on this list is the fact that there is nothing that's overarching. There's nothing that sets 20, 30, 40, 50, 60% of the people say, oh my gosh, this is plaguing my school district. These are substantive contributive ideas of what they think are important with the school district, but nothing stands out in a massive way. And certainly each one of these things could be addressed in some way by this district, and I'm sure you already are. But that's what the public is thinking. Here we ask the question, which is really what we were asked to do, and that is to get a sense of whether there was support or not for this idea of term limits. And we framed the question in the same way that it may appear on the ballot. So this is not exactly the language that might happen, but very similar to the kind of language that the ballot label, which is what you see at your kitchen table when you fill out your ballot, or in the voting booth on the screen or in the paper, however it's presented to you. So the answer is a supermajority, 68% say they would vote yes to impose term limits. We didn't put a number as far as how many years. We didn't put a lot of details in here because we wanted to just get a baseline understanding of what the public thought and what the voters thought. And there's large support for it without any other information. Then we go into giving them some details, and here we read them some background about the school district, about board members being elected to 4-year terms, and then describing what term limits are in very, very basic form. This is what we call preamble. We now inform them. I think a lot of people already knew most of this data, this information, but we want to make sure that everybody that responds to the survey has the same information. Our next question is, the fact that it could cost maybe $60,000 to conduct an election, even though there's already an election happening, there are costs that you as a district incur by putting something on the ballot, like a ballot measure with the registrar. There was some idea that this might have been $100,000, and because we might have had a couple ballot measures, we made it very clear it was $60,000. Just to make it clear, all the people who responded that were included in the responses saw the $60,000 number. What this says is they don't really care. They still want to support term limits. And on the left side, it's the broader number saying, basically, sure, it makes me even more likely, 58%. There's a chunk of people, 34%, that say they're less likely to support an election where you would put term limits because of this data. On the right side, we have the people who were initially said no. How does this affect them? Well, there's a bunch, about 57% that say they're more likely to vote no. And the ones at the bottom, those who are unsure, it also shows how they were impacted by this message. Bottom line is there's broad-based support for term limits. The next question, we talk about this idea, the term limits passes, the current board members would still be able to serve the entirety of their terms. It's not like people would lose their seats immediately. But again, it really doesn't matter too much. A majority, a clear majority, is still very supportive of the idea of term limits. Next, we have a agree-disagree statement. And here we say the school district loses all the experience and knowledge board members acquire over their years of service when they're forced to leave office from term limits. A majority says they agree with this. 52%, we round up, agrees. So this is certainly consideration from a policymaker standpoint and from the member of the public. They really, I think, were contemplative about this and have a concern that they would lose some experience and knowledge. Next, we said, without term limits, it's nearly impossible for non-incumbent candidates to get elected to the Board of Education. We didn't put this in there because we were making things up. We were trying to come up with the arguments that maybe a member of public might say to kind of give you a sense of perhaps a neighbor-to-neighbor conversation, which we'll see later on. So here, about 2/3 of the public, the voters, again, feel that there is this kind of wall for them if they wanted to run, if there's incumbents that are always in there running for re-election. Next, term limits will bring board members with fresh perspectives and ideas, and a big majority believe that that's the case. I caution that while you have a pretty impressive crowd here today, more than most government meetings have, most people don't really think much about their school district. They don't think much about what's happening here. So this statement sounds logical to them, even though they don't necessarily know the good work that's happening here. And then here we have the statements of two people, ostensibly two members of the community. Jones, who says, forgive me, that you're basically just here to collect a paycheck. And then Williams, who says you're substantive members who make about $400 a month and contribute, and term limits wouldn't help all children in any way. The plurality agrees with Jones, who says you're here to collect a paycheck. And let me be very clear. We have seen basically in the last 2 years or so a very serious degradation of support for institutions in America. So we didn't ask the question, do they think you're doing a good job? We didn't ask the question, do they trust you? The fact is those numbers would even be down from where they were 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Every institution is like that. So it's never fun to present data like this. I don't think this means they don't like you. I think they just are following the course of what they're seeing in America today, and that government institutions are not to be trusted, and that's something that's really creeping into American psyche. We asked them, if term limits were imposed, where should they be on that spectrum of time? Most people, or the most that responded, believe that 2 terms, 8 years, is appropriate. And then going down from there, 1 term, there's a group of people who say 3 terms. So really a majority definitely believes, a large majority believes that either 2 or 3 terms is appropriate. So I think this could certainly guide your policy making if you choose to go down this road. We then, after all that information, good and bad and so forth, we asked them, how do you feel about this question again, now knowing what you know? And 78% support the idea of term limits. You can see the changes. A few more people vote no, and there's some unsure. So a lot of those unsure came over to be supportive of yes. That is the question we follow with is why? So why is it that you would vote for term limits? And we kind of get a sense of who these people are. and why they're supportive. They believe that there perhaps might be an abuse of power or bringing new ideas and different things. So if there is an argument for term limits, then these are the things you want to talk about, that you can really do positive change with these things. And then we look at the people who said, why not? And they kind of grab onto the fact that they're doing a good job today, and the fact that we'd lose all that inherent knowledge and experience. And so those are some of the big things that come into play. And also some people that are concerned about the money, the waste of dollars, or they see it as a waste of dollars. Real quick, we changed the headline on this to be more accurate. The majority do not have children under 18 living in their household. And this is actually, you are unique in the district in the fact LA County is somewhat unique. There's a larger number of households that have children in them versus other voting households in other parts of the state. So it's a big group of people, but the majority do not have children in their household. So that's the end of our presentation. The full report that Mr. Frutos has is about just under 400 pages. There's a lot more data, and so we're certainly able to do any customized reporting, do any personalized briefings. We're certainly available, however staff asks us to respond.
Thank you. No, any questions?
Yeah, I would like to spend a little more time. I'd like to set up an appointment with you so that
Sure.
you could go through this with me.
I'd
It's the
be
first
happy.
time that I've dealt with a survey individually.
Sure.
So I think I have some things to learn.
Sure.
And he has a larger report, so maybe we could set something
Yeah.
up.
The board has the large report, that's what we sent you on the weekend update.
The one the earlier one, the 400 pages?
Yeah, and I don't know if we've delivered the final report on results, which has a whole lot of other, including all the verbatim responses, so you can actually read through them. We'll make a couple tweaks based on things we saw tonight, just headline wise, and we'll deliver that. We're happy to go through it with you.
Okay, great. So you'll get that report and then I can set up an appointment. Thank you.
What does, I'm sorry, what does the third one have? You mentioned verbatim?
So in the report itself, of course, this is just we made a presentation for the board.
Yes,
to make it
yes,
very
and I
brief.
asked you to keep it,
Okay.
to,
Yes.
yeah, because the first one was a 50-page report.
Correct.
Right.
So we took out some of the demographic data to make this presentation. So we have the data based on every demographic you can imagine, age and gender and geography and all those things. The report on results also has all the cross-tabulated results, which is kind of a minefield of 100 pages of the results based upon all those demographics, just numbers on a page. It almost looks like the Matrix. And then there's also the open-ended responses. So when we give you these categorized results, this is based on people actually responding and telling us something like, it's a waste of money, I don't know why they're spending the money. We actually capture their words, whether they wrote it in an online environment or they said it to us. And so you can actually then read what their words were. And we also put demographics above it. So you can see it was a woman, Latina, 45 to 55, who lived in Paramount, and see the experience of this person. So who it is that's saying those words.
Thank you.
And that one is over 100 pages.
For 366.
Oh, 366
pages.
Yeah.
I think I better set aside a whole day.
We're happy to. I'll buy lunch.
Sure.
Okay. And maybe somebody else would like to.
I think I'd like to join.
You're in charge. Yeah.
But based on this report that we just received today, I would say we should at least come up with an agreement if we're going to put term limits on the ballot. The policy part, we can come up with it after, like the gentleman said, Adam said, 2 terms, 1 term, 3 terms. Because I think this is, we did receive the 50-page one, and it does show the demographics, as you mentioned. It does give a very good breakdown. I was very impressed, by the way, because whether it came out favorable or not, you did an awesome job. Because we didn't know what was going to come, but then I saw, it's like, wow, they really, you really did a good job on this. But I would like to actually make a motion right now to put term limits on the ballot for the November 2020, and then at a later time, we can come up with the policy of what we want to include on the ballot.
I would definitely second that motion.
So can I have a vote on that or any other discussion? Any questions? May I have a vote to place this on the November 2020 ballot? Come back to it probably, come back to it in August, in our August meeting. That way, actually come back to it in September because I know Board Member Hanson will be on vacation. So to give her some time to sit with with Adam, I believe his name is, to go over everything else that's in there to make the decision of what we want on the policy.
So what you're saying is to put this on the September agenda for a vote. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying two things. I'm
Okay.
saying we make a motion right now and take the vote of putting term limits on the 2020 election ballot for November 2020, and then come back in September, so that way you have time to meet with the gentleman on the policy on what we want to add to the election. Say we want 1 term or 2 terms without coming back, or 2 terms, you're off 1 term, and then you can come back to be reelected. That type. The policy is one thing, and putting it on the election ballot tonight is another. So it's 2 different things.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion to put term limits on the 2020 ballot tonight. In September, come back and add our policy that will be included on the ballot for 2020.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Okay.
So may I have a motion, or can we have a?
You have a motion and a second, I
Okay.
believe. Yes.
So can I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia,
I'm going to vote no. I'd like to find out more about it so I can read up all the pages.
Governing Board Member De Leon,
Yes.
I'm sorry that you were coming to me.
Governing Board Member Hanson,
I'm sorry. I know. The same with Linda. I want to get more information.
Governing
you.
Board Member Cuarenta,
I'll abstain.
and Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes.
So the motion fails, you can bring it back.
So the motion failed. 2 yes, 2 no, 1 abstained. We'll bring it back in September. That way we have board members have time to meet with, his name is Adam, right? Sorry. Probosky. Probosky Research, get all the information. Could we actually have a study session that all board members can be there?
Yes, Madam President, I would recommend a study session so that all the board members that wish to participate can participate, and you have and you can have time to look through it and be ready with questions. So
Yeah.
would
so
that
that's a
be
good idea.
available?
Would that work?
Okay, yes.
Adam? Doctor?
So could we probably have a
Yes.
study session at the
Yes.
end of August, because some board members will be on vacation in July? Thank you. So we'll meet in August, and then we'll bring it to the September meeting to ask to have another vote to place it on the November 2020 ballot. Thank you very much, and now you may continue.
Thank you, Madam President. The next item under Superintendent's Report, Mr. Keep losing my page. Mr. Frutos has an update on the LA Metro project, of which you will continue to hear for a while, but we want to keep the board updated on this, as Mr. Frutos is our representative on this committee.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Perez, colleagues and members of the public. As you know, one of the largest projects that we have in our community is the LA Metro project, which literally will bring a train in between some of our schools, specifically our high school. We have an update for you to keep you informed of the latest information. The most important item that I have to bring you is that the The project is finishing its environmental impact report phase. What that means is once that is completed, this project is moving. So you'll see at the end of calendar, this project is actually moving, and we are one of the participants in the process because it impacts the district significantly. Once again, here's the map of the project. As you remember, the project begins in Artesia, makes its way down, and it comes on the corner of Paramount and Rosecrans through our district, and it actually comes in the tracks that we have in between PHS West and our senior campus. This is a connection between the Southeast Corridor and downtown, and it is a very large project. One of the areas of interest to us is that there are several items that will have an impact in our community, including the fact that once the station is completed, we have the entire area just south of the tracks where right now you have a mall and you have the adult ed center, et cetera, that might be redeveloped. There's a lot of negotiation to try to come up with a way to benefit from the traffic impact of the train. That would have an impact to our adult ed program if that redevelopment takes place, and a lot of agencies would be working on that. Most important to us is the impact that it'll have to the two schools. So as we look at the tracks, this is a new picture that you have not seen before. The left side shows areas where they are actually proposing to have elevated tracks. That's a concern to us because right now, if you remember, we have a bridge. So the bridge in between the high schools is technically gone. It cannot operate with the systems of energy that they have planned, the cables. So one of the proposals is a tunnel. Not uncommon. Those of us that have worked in a lot of districts have had tunnels in some of our facilities. But for us, it's a lot more of an impact because the tunnel has inherent challenges that a bridge doesn't have.
Is that a tunnel, I'm sorry, is that a tunnel for the kids to walk under?
Exactly,
Not the
instead
train
of the
to
bridge. So it would be a tunnel in between our PHS West campus and our senior campus. We want to be part of the negotiation because we want that tunnel to be as safe, as good for us, and as long-lasting as possible. So it is important for you to remember that because as the negotiations continue, it is certain now that the bridge that we currently have will not operate with their systems. And just picture the cables that they use to bring power, et cetera. So I want to pause there. Any questions? Again, we are part of the process. We are not going to stop being part of the process. And we want our own engineering teams to recommend what this tunnel will look like to make sure that it meets all the criteria that the district is interested in, specifically safety, durability, not flooding, just keep going.
When go ahead.
Ms. DeLeon.
I know there's community members that are concerned for safety. I'm concerned for safety as well. As it is, there's over approximately 1,000 kids already crossing the bridge, and there's a concern with that, and at least they could see them crossing. So how safe is it, and who's going to monitor these students? Because, you know, as they're passing under, if there's no supervision, kids could get into a fight. There's could be, I mean, numerous of incidents that can occur. So how can we ensure the safety of our students?
And that's the same question that I asked, and Mr. Frutos did have some answers, so maybe you'll share them with us.
And it is one of our biggest areas of concern, and that's why we want to keep you informed. As all the board members are thinking, the safety in a tunnel is inherently different than the safety on a very visible bridge. So as this process continues, we want to make sure that we bring teams that work for the district to create designs that include safety and a variety of safety mechanisms. We have spoken to the board in the past about some of the safety mechanisms that we have implemented for our current facilities. This will be to another level. So not just the use of camera systems, but the use of closures so that once the bridge is not used during the day, it doesn't become a place where folks go and you know, do whatever. So there are a lot of considerations that we want to bring forward. One of the things that we will be bringing to your attention at some point is a contract for companies to do designs on behalf of the district so that we present them to Metro you approve it, and we all understand in advance the type of needs that we want. So we're already thinking about safety mechanisms for the bridge, a bridge that's long enough that it comes to our facilities, not to the edge, a bridge that has a variety of mechanisms for visibility, lighting systems, etc. So absolutely, you probably will have a lot of questions as this process continues, so do we. All I wanted to tell you at this point is that the idea of the bridge continuing appears to not be possible. For a while, we tried to keep that going, but based on the design, that will not happen. So,
When you said make signs, I'm not understanding, I'm sorry, meaning signs to go to the board, to the Metro board to tell them, or what type of signs are you talking about? When you said we're gonna make signs?
I'm sorry,
I thought you said right now.
Yes, you did. You
Okay.
said something about having signs that the board would approve and you would present to Metro that we would want to have there.
well, these are designs, not signs.
Oh,
So
designs.
designs will be.
I heard signs also.
Yeah, I apologize. Designs, we want to make sure that if we don't act in advance, it is difficult for Metro to consider our needs as they are considering their needs. So my intent, and I've done this before in other projects, if, for example, in Pico Rivera, we did several underpasses around our facilities for the freight trains to go by. And what we did the designs well in advance. And that way, by the time the railroad companies were looking, we had addressed all our needs in our designs. So I intend to bring to you a consideration for somebody to begin to look at everything that we need on this tunnel system.
I do have a question, though. I know that in most metro stations, the sheriffs now patrol. Would the sheriffs patrol the tunnel for the kids? Because that's a lot of kids going underneath that tunnel. Would we have our own security, or will we have the sheriffs do it since it's metro?
Those type of operational questions we can address however we want to. The metro company doesn't really have any jurisdiction in how we patrol our facilities. So imagine that the tunnel is constructed and we have it tomorrow. You, the board, can direct us to do any type of security and to implement any kind of devices, lock it up however we feel appropriate. Metro, all they're saying at this point right now is your bridge will not be operational after a certain point. So what do you want to do? And their recommendation is a tunnel, which we don't see another option.
Right.
Because a taller bridge would not work very well. So the operational issues, the safety issues are things that we want to bring to the board. Metro will approve whatever we do about security because it's on our dollar, but we want to make sure that we have all those things in place well in advance.
So where will those funds come from? Whatever we're going to implement or put into it, I mean.
At this point, there are no funds except the district's general fund for this because the Metro will probably assist with some of the operational issues of the tunnel, but they have not indicated they have any resources for the operation of whatever we end up doing.
So the funding that's in here, the Measure M and the R fund, doesn't cover anything?
I don't think it'll cover operational issues because they will have their own security that will be paid with the fees that they will have for the Metro. So the actual operation of whatever tunnel ends up will be our obligation.
And they're doing the environmental study and they hope to be finished by next year?
That is the goal.
That's the goal?
And once they move past the operational study, then the next is contracts and then the process starts. So I just want to make sure we are way ahead of them, thinking about all these things that you, like us, are thinking about and that we have them ready. So when this happens, we are not caught a little behind the process. So the other piece is the elevation. Right now, they are recommending elevation in our schools, and we have a concern with that. So this is more of engineers talking to engineers, but we just want to tell you what you see on the left slide is actually going up near our facilities and then coming down to street level. Our concern is that it's too short of a distance. So even though we are not experts in trains are heavy, they are large, and for them to go up and down within the span of our school appears highly ambitious. So that you know, we are challenging that at this point. It's a big concern to us. The least thing that we want is a train going up near our buildings without a lot of protection. We prefer them to be at street level with walls or something that protects from sound or any challenges. So those are the kind of conversations we are having with them.
When you say the overcrossing at Downey Avenue, is that like the one down here at Rosecrest on Alondra, over Alondra? That
Exactly. So it can be either elevated or then they build the street under.
underneath.
That's something they need to decide.
Now, if they would go
Absolutely.
underneath, would that run into our tunnel of underneath for the students to cross?
No, our tunnel will be where the bridge is approximately, or
Oh,
around
that's
there.
right.
And the
There's
reason, because if
that's
you
farther
remember,
down.
we only have a small amount of space in between the two
Right.
schools. We have some industrial and some warehousing, and in that space is
Right,
the location you have for the connection between the two
It'd
schools.
be better if they went under our bridge.
Well, that's,
I
And
think it's
that's-
it's kind of hard to fight with Metro, unfortunately, because I saw the Metro, the exposition line go through USC, and even USC wanted a certain part to go up and down, and it's like, no way, you're not pushing them, so.
and that's part of the challenge because of their electrical needs. They don't
Yeah.
want any metal near any of that, so we understand that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, finally, what does the system look like? Well, we weren't sure at one point how big of a system. It appears that there are going to be three kinds. There's going to be the light rail system, the commuter rail, and what we currently have, which is freight. That's what it looks like will be the final set of train systems that they'll have. At this point, it looks like, as Board Member Hansen said, they are finishing the environmental impact studies by 2020. That means that by 19, most of the work will be done, or end of this year. And right now, the completion of the entire project is 2028. Now, that might seem like a lot, but that's the entire project from Artesia. So chances are that construction will begin several years before in a lot of the locations. And by then, all the negotiations about property, including ours, will be finished. So again, even though it sounds like it's far away, I'd rather not wait and continue working with these folks. And with that, any questions?
We have some already.
We believe it's a beneficial project to the community, but we want to make sure that the district's needs are addressed. That's our
That our
job.
students remain safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam President, the last presentation that we have, Mr. Frutos is also going to share regarding a documentation that we have available in our district. I'd like you to know we have several organizations that work with our district, of which we really don't have jurisdiction over funding or fundraisers that they actually do. And the best that we can provide to them is guidelines for how to conduct themselves when they are handling fundraisers, as well as collecting the dollars and also what they do with those dollars. And an example of that is PTA. That's just one example. PTA, as you know, operates totally separately from, in terms of their structure, their board, their funding, their activities at their schools. They work collaboratively with the school principals, of course, because they want to support the students at the school. But for example, any of the fundraising dollars that are collected each year from activities and events do not go through the school system at all. It is totally run separately. And the same thing occurs, another example is at the high school. There are parent booster clubs that also have fundraisers, and they have their own boards, and they have their own meetings. And any of the fundraisers that they have throughout the year to support the athletic programs at the school, those dollars do not run through the school system, and we have no really say or jurisdiction over them. But the best thing that we can do is to provide them with guidance as to how to handle these things. So when I came to the district, I asked Mr. Frutos to put together, because we didn't have that here, a guideline for booster clubs, for parent and school-connected organizations, and to also have it in Spanish for all of our Spanish-speaking parents as well, that are volunteers that work on behalf of our students and our schools. So we wanted to be aware of this document, which is on the website, and every year our principals review it with their PTA. I review it with the PTA Executive Board. The high school principals review it with their their parents that have these
Booster clubs.
district, yes, and also with our district administrators. So we want, for the benefit of the new board members, we wanted to provide you with this information.
So, thank you. Again, as Dr. Perez said, one of the most challenging things that you as a board have is the fact that you have partner organizations that are not necessarily responsive to you, but at the same time that work exclusively because of the district. And boosters are a good example. School Connected Organization is another one. PTA is also an organization like that, but PTA has their own base and their own systems in which they operate. So every year, we now for a couple of years, we have had this book. We update it in the summer to get the latest educational and government codes. And basically, the way it works as a manual to assist any group, both information, how they can form, how they can operate, and more importantly, what activities they can do. So I'm going to give you a couple of very brief examples. If we go to, for example, page 3, you see all the items that we are covering: event accounting for fundraising, how they can organize, how do booster clubs work. One of the groups that we mentioned here are ASBs. Our ASBs behave a little bit like an independent group, but as opposed to a booster that's a completely separate group that has their own accounting, the ASB is a separate group that is completely responsive to the board. We maintain their accounting, we maintain their accounts, so that's all stipulated here. But a booster club is supposed to have their own bank accounts, etc., but without a purpose, without coming to us and saying, I'm a booster club to buy uniforms for our chess club. There really isn't a purpose for them to exist. So then we explain all those things here. So if you go, for example, to page 9, you see examples of all our fundraising activities. And it shows you what kind of fundraising activities you can have, what are the ed codes that govern fundraising, how does it work, and what are specifically how they can use fundraising. One of the typical questions that my office gets is, Ruben, can I get your tax code? Absolutely not. These groups are supposed to get their own tax code because they're a separate group as opposed to internal groups. So all that is listed here. If you go to page 10, is how to do the accounting of fundraising. How are they supposed to account? How do they work with group fundraisers? How do they keep track? One of the most basic things, you have an event, an athletic event or some type of event. You should have separate ticketed numbers. So those numbers eventually show how you collected the money, and it's an easy way to track. So for somebody starting, following this allows them to do basic accounting so they don't get in trouble. Another example that we put in are, if you do events for sales, who should you have? Well, you should have a cashier and somebody else that counts the money with you. Don't ever have one person doing it all. So it gives you examples as to if you have the most typical events, athletic events, recreational events, how you should be handling your money in a way that you don't get in trouble. If you go to page 14, we decided to put something that hopefully will assist anybody in the way they work with our school, and it's the do's and don'ts. These are things that you can do and things that you cannot do. So, for example, conducting a fundraiser where you mandate that students participate. Absolutely not. We cannot do that because students, remember, are supposed to be voluntarily doing things with fundraising, and we cannot use fundraising as something that ties to our free and public education. So all our just basic items like that. The other thing we did, and I've done this for several districts that I work with, is we created a system so that with our insurer, they have something called red light, yellow light, and green light. Red light are events that you cannot do. We are not insured for them. So a good example is alcohol sales. As much as we would want to have a wine and cheese in one of our schools, absolutely not. Aircraft landing, believe it or not, we used to be able to do that. Helicopter rides were not uncommon about 20 years ago. It's not allowable at all. So somebody can look at this and say, None of these events can we do for fundraising regardless. The yellow is the next level, and those are questionable. Rock climbing, for example. You might say yes, no, maybe. What we are saying is yellow activities, talk to us first. We will talk to our insurer, and there's a possibility we might be able to do it, but additional insurance will be required. So for each one of them, we actually listed what the concern is. You can go look at them. And finally, we have all the greens, and there are many of them. So all these are things that they can do, calendar sales, band concerts, whatever. So for somebody that really is uncomfortable with a legal decision, they can follow this and understand what can be done. Finally, near the end of the document, we created a frequently asked questions area. So, for example, can a booster club pay for a salary for a coach? Not uncommon. If you think of a sports booster club, they might want to say, hey, we want to go hire a coach. No, only HR hires people for the district. So they can recommend, they can do the fundraising, and then our team would hire the employee or create that. So again, basic information that hopefully will assist. There are several frequently asked questions. And finally, at the end of the document are all the codes. What I wanted to make sure is everybody understood that it's not just that code, but we have penal code, government code, and a variety of other codes that govern how we handle money and how we handle people. And those are all listed. And again, I try every summer to update this, have it ready. As Dr. Perez said, the document is on the web, and it's very easy to find. We have a link, and if you just click there, it'll appear, and it's both in English and in Spanish. And we'll try to do that every year to keep it updated.
Yes.
And I can answer any questions you might have.
Where did you get your frequently asked questions?
Well, as I said, I've been doing this for a long time. So the first time that I did it many years ago, we just asked people after, like, what are things? And mainly it's always hiring people. Some of these groups want to be your partner. They want to bring individuals, but it's not appropriate for them to do that. So these are the things that you get asked the most by these groups. And if we get more, we'll add them every year.
I think a few years back, we had a problem with it.
And that's not uncommon.
The
When I was
money,
with the
that
Department of
was-
Ed, probably 1/3 of the districts have issues like that. Well-intentioned people that say, here's John. And you're, no, sorry. And these are just typical things.
Yeah. But I always feel that it's our responsibility to have guidelines in place for our people to provide them with direction as a minimum. And I say as a minimum because, for example, on July 24th, the PTA Executive Board, I offered to have a retreat with them. So I'll be meeting with them. We are putting that together to help them to work together during the year, to help them look at this and know how to execute these things and how to organize themselves in a way that would reduce conflicts during the year and would make their jobs in supporting our schools a lot smoother. So I look forward to doing that with them. It's not something common that superintendents do, but they are wonderful parents, and I appreciate them greatly, and I offer to do that to help them, and they're very appreciative of that.
There's a webpage where all our schools can find it. There is the English version and the same version in Spanish, and it's kind of a mirror of each other, so folks can go look at it and get all the details.
How did you get there? You went too quick, Dr.
Yeah,
Perez
it's the
was
link
talking.
that I just put up. or
Right,
You can
but-
also just go Paramount Unified
Right.
Business.
Oh,
and
business. Okay.
And they'll
That's what I
appear
want to
there.
know.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that concludes, board members, if there aren't any more questions, the superintendent's report. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Okay, so now we go to board meeting calendar. Any additions to or changes to the regular meeting and/or special meeting calendar will be discussed. I don't think we have any, do we?
No, but I do want to share with the board that at the August meeting, I will be sharing with you some dates for 3 potential study sessions that the board has requested. One of them is a special education study session. Another one is a quarterly study session that the executive staff and I hold with the board to share with you any new initiatives that will be coming forward, as well as give you an update on previous initiatives. And then finally, as discussed this evening, I'll bring some dates for a third study session, which will be to further explain to the board and give you an opportunity to read the report that Adam Probalski shared this evening and discuss that evening. So I will bring potential dates and share with them beforehand in a Wednesday report so you can look at your calendars and you could be ready to vote on that in August.
And also as a reminder, we have a special meeting on August 6th.
Yes.
And is that, I'm sorry, what time is that one? Is that earlier?
That's 5:30, I believe it is.
Is that 5:30? Thank you.
I was going to ask for the meeting with Podlaski. Just for my clarification, we are going to get the report ahead of time before the meeting. Is that correct?
The 300 and whatever pages?
Right. Are we going to get that, or is he just going to go over it in person?
All right, whatever you request, you paid them, so you can request whatever you wish. So, Mr. Frutos, would you make sure that the board receives it before the actual study session?
And if we do, can we have it 2 weeks in advance? Because 300 pages to go over 5 days is not enough. Thank you. Yeah, okay.
366.
Yeah, 366, which I think is going to come, I believe it's going to be the same results, but just in more depth of what the answers are.
Mr. Frutos, do you have that report yet? Or was he's going to send that one to you?
No, we do not.
You just have the,
Which is the first one you gave us.
okay, thank you.
Gotcha. All righty. So 3 potential August dates. And then at the September meeting, once we do that, the August, we will make a vote on term limits. All righty. So may I have a motion then that we're going to have 3 potential meetings?
I'm sorry, Madam
we need to-
President, respectfully, I just heard you say something and I got a little confused.
Okay.
We first have the study session
Correct.
sometime in
Correct.
August, and we
then
will
September.
decide that,
Oh.
the date of that study session, because the board has to vote on those dates and then make them public
Oh.
at the August meeting.
Okay.
So then,
That's good you told me.
yes.
That
And
clarifies.
you said you were going to send us some dates so that we could check our
Yes,
calendar.
yes, so that has to come first.
Correct.
And then what I would respectfully suggest is that that evening, we could set it up where the board could vote on, after the study session, on the item.
Correct.
So would you like to do it that way then?
Yes, because
Okay,
then
but-
if not,
okay.
we're going to September, October.
Yes,
And that way
yes.
we get it all done, since we're
Okay.
going to be doing
Okay.
study session. Okay. Perfect.
Thank you.
Any questions on that? Okay. So I still need to make a motion though, no? For the 3? No? Okay, perfect.
I have my direction, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Okay. So now we're going to go to the hearing section. Persons wishing to address the board shall fill out a blue card located on the table by the door and submit the completed card to the secretary. Speakers will be called in sequence during the hearing section, which is limited to 1 hour, and each speaker to 1 presentation of 3 minutes, unless the board wishes to waive the time limit. The board cannot engage in public discussion during this portion of the agenda. Government Code Section 54950 through 54963. Staff will follow up and address public inquiries. Those who have a group concern are encouraged to select a spokesperson to address the board. Persons wishing to address the board on a specific agenda item at the time of the item is under discussion are limited to 3 minutes each and will be called to speak following the staff comments and prior to the board's discussion of taking action. We do have 1 speaker, Sarah Wessel. Can you please come? Is she here? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Sarah Patricia Hueso. Good evening, everybody. I wanted to discuss open comment and transparency. I've been coming here for over 2 years and, just raising different issues and questions. And I noticed that at the last meeting, yes, you guys are taping the meetings now, but under the written part, when you go into board minutes, all you guys put on there was a blue card was received during the public hearing section. The following community members addressed the board and provided public comments. I was one of those, but that was it. And then you also said questions were received from myself again and somebody else. And why did you not put what I said? You know, we discussed levels of water, of lead in the schools. Those are important issues for us as parents. Why did you guys not put that under the under the agenda minutes? That stuff is very important. I also questioned why the district has been receiving Sparkletts water delivery every 2 weeks, and our children are drinking from old water pipes. Why was not that put on there? That, as a parent, makes me very upset. You know, the fact that teachers have to buy their own water as well. And I think those are very important issues to address. And yes, you've recorded it, but what about people that can't hear? What about people that are watching the video and can't hear? How are they gonna know what was said? Please be more transparent in terms of that. This is not okay. You know, every other time you've put at least a summary of what was said. I would like you today to put this on there, word per word, please. Because I think everybody deserves to know what goes on in these meetings. Also, in terms of the metro, the fact that a metro is gonna be running very close to a high school, that should concern you guys. It is, you know, kids are always doing dares, playing chicken, doing all sorts of crazy things, and to have a metro that close, I'm concerned as a resident, as a community member. You guys should be very concerned in terms of that. And finally, there's so many issues that, you know, have been discussed lately, but in terms of environmental impact with that project as well, I mean, you guys need to really look through it. I know it's a done deal, but as a parent, it's very concerning that this is gonna be very close. I'm gonna share one last little thing with you guys. The metro passes by an area in LA around Washington, and there's a restaurant there. So you can go and have Mexican food. Every 5 minutes, the building shakes. So just something to think about. Thank you.
Madam President, I just want to add, related to the need that, Ms. Hueso stated. I heard what was stated at the last meeting regarding the minutes, so we added, if you notice on the new minutes, we added the name of the individual that spoke, as well as the topics that they spoke about. It's not word for word, but we did add the topics which are important to the speaker, and gathered that data. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you all so that we can capture that.
And I had a question. Weren't there, are there not some community meetings for the Metro? I think they've had some community meetings. How do we go about letting our parents know or our community members know when they were having community input? I know they had some in the past, but could you research that and let us know so that we could let our community know if they wanted to provide input? I know it's a done deal, but you know, we need to have our concerns on record.
And also, Mr. Frutos, would you be ready to answer the question about water? Yes.
So as we mentioned before, if the board recalls, we did a brief presentation on water that had two components. One was the water testing that we were mandated, and I'm sorry I'm going off record, so it'll be somewhat general. But we were mandated to do lead water testing by July of this year. The district completed that in advance, and we worked with our different water agencies to make sure that our water was tested, and the results were favorable within the guidelines that were provided. In addition to that, as I mentioned during that presentation, we decided to go one step above and be a little more strict with our testing and monitoring, just in case the standards were to change, for example, what the FDA does. As far as water provision, we are improving the water provision at our schools by the implementation of filtered water dispensers. The board gave us authority some time ago, and the superintendent requested that we looked at this provides filtered water. But two, and we believe more important, is also a water filler. And if you recall, we are looking at installing this throughout all our schools to make sure that we have that process so that the students can have this
Access.
to water, and also so that we don't waste it.
Mr. Frutos, by when do you think we'll have all of that in all our schools?
And our hope is that we will have at least some installations at every school by the end of the summer. That's what we hope.
By the end of the summer?
Unless there is a structural issue that we find at the school, that's what we're shooting for.
And the presentation on water, did we put it on the website by any chance
believe
under
it is on there.
environmental update? Because
I think it is.
Yes, I request that we do that for the benefit of our parents that may be concerned about the water piece.
I have a request for information, please.
Sure.
It's my understanding, President Gomez, when you read the hearing section, it says that the board cannot engage in public discussion during the portion of the agenda. However, it does state that staff will follow up. I wonder if there was a follow-up with Ms. Hueso, because usually we get a paper that states what was said, and I believe the question that Ms. Hueso is saying is, why is it water being delivered here? We already know that the report on the testing for lead was already conducted, and it's up and running on our webpage. So have we addressed her?
Have we answered that question?
We did that.
That's it. Have we answered that question?
Have we answered the question on why water is being delivered?
Yeah. And if
That
we
was
have
her
not, would
question.
we please do that?
Yes.
Thank
We
you.
have Ms. Hueso's address, so we will be happy to send her a letter with that information.
And would we get a copy like we usually
You
get?
always do.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
May I make a comment on the agenda or the minutes rather? I actually wasn't here the last meeting, but I did watch it online, and there is a concern to me also regarding the minutes. My concern is those who do not have access to a computer, those who do not know how to use a computer, those who go by the written copy. I would like to see the minutes the way they used to be. I know there'll be errors every once in a while, but that's why we correct them. Moving forward, I would like to see the minutes the way they used to be, because I feel that our community, there's a lot of residents that do not know how to use the computer. Yes, younger generation, they're online. Yes, we've had 950 hits 2 months ago. We had probably about 350 the month prior. But I'm afraid of our residents, our constituents that do not know how to use the computer. I know a bunch of them that do not know how to, but I would like to see the minutes the way they used to.
Could I also make a comment? I also read, and I totally, I apologize for not bringing my documents, but there's a document that states that when something is being recorded for it to be viewed online, there is a time frame that the public can view it. Now, I don't know how long we would hold on to it, and as board members, how we would have access to it. So I don't want to, go into saying to the public, oh, we'll just go online and view it, and then we lose this important discussion that was discussed, and it's not reflected in the minutes, which is a legal document. So I'm concerned for that, because there is in writing, according to policy, on how long we could keep those records for the public. So I'm really concerned for that.
The question about how long they last online is technical. I really, how long they can be posted. Mr. Frutos, do you know the answer to that? I mean, how long does it last online? How long are they archived for?
Well, to be honest with you, there is no limit on record retention online. We keep legal documents a variety of lengths depending on what the requirements are, starting from student records, which are in perpetuity, all the way to annual contracts that we dispose of it for 3 years. But our servers keep that information until
Okay, so it's,
otherwise. I mean, we
And I would agree with you, but then I would likely also disagree with you in the fact that you're stating that now and it's being recorded, but there is policy, and I will share it with you, where it does state that it can be removed. So I don't want to say that you said this and then later on we lose it because it wasn't on the minutes. It wasn't reflected on the minutes. And so then what do we tell our public? Oh, well, it was at one point stated, you know, and it was recorded. And as you see and look around you, there's people that still are not trusting of us and still record on their own. So it should be a concern as a body to make sure we're transparent and we hold our minutes the way they're supposed to be and as a legal, look at them as a legal document.
Madam President, I think we were like getting way off the subject here. I think we should move on, and we know what staff is going to bring us information on, and it's time to move on.
Right, but we just want to make sure that we're going to get the minutes the way they used to be, because we
I
have
don't
residents
think that-
asking us.
No, I don't think that was the discussion. I mean, you guys are bringing up something that we are not discussing. So I suggest we move on because we have a lot of business to take care of.
Well, I understand we have a lot of business, but this is important business, and our constituents are watching and want to know where.
I understand that, but when you have 3 pages of typed notes and you read it into the agenda and you expect the staff to write down word for word when you don't stay on subject, that's not doing the public's business.
I think this is.
That's doing your business. There's difference.
She's not yelling.
I'm not yelling.
She's stating something.
Okay. Let's move on and.
How about if
I'll
you
talk to
run
the-
for office and you sit up here then? Yeah, that would be good.
Any other blue cards?
Could we move on, please?
We have another blue card.
Here we go.
Isn't it late for the green cards? Did you
It's
change the
too
time?
late.
No, it's not. He's fine. He's with.
He's fine? Okay.
Is it Andres? Adrian Alvarez, is that correct?
Yeah, I wanted to speak on several issues that related to Ms. Hansen's out of order comment.
Hold on just a moment. She needs to put the 3 minutes on.
You signed that though before she went out of order.
Okay.
So what did you originally sign?
Who's the president of this board?
Yeah.
Who's the president of this board? Why people are talking as if they're running this board? Is my time on now? No, just a second. It's out of order. Okay,
We can't see it, the number.
my name is Adrian Alvarez. I am the editor of Nuestro Tiempo newspaper. We cover this area. I am also an organizer in this area. And I begin by saying that because the LCAP allows for people like me, organizers, community members, to participate in these public meetings. I want to address some concerns that have becoming a pattern here. And one of them being this this latest display of following a lack of protocol. It seems that this board follows protocol like Robert's Order at anybody's convenience. This is the public's time, and yet, you just read that you can't talk back to the community, but we're getting that. And nobody's putting order here. So one of the things is, if this is going to be a body that follows the rule of law, somebody needs to start by silencing some of these members that feel that they're entitled to this board, that they can speak to people as if we're children. And this is frustrating. Okay. I want to be sure that you listen.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, so
I'm sorry, sir. I just wanted to share with the president that.
as long as my time
You
is,
can have it, sure. I
Okay.
said that you can speak this evening because you can. I was directing staff to answer Ms. Wessel's question, not the Board of Education. So the president was indeed following the order for public hearing. So you have an extra,
I'm not criticizing the president, I'm criticizing some of the
but
board
she's in
members.
charge of this meeting.
Okay, but it doesn't appear so. Because even yourself, you speak out of order. Okay, this is part of the problem. You know, the public needs to understand that there are elected officials. Elected officials, people gave their words that they were going to represent the community to do certain things, not to abstain for the very same issues that the community gave you a vote to represent. Okay, that's a misrepresentation of the community, meaning that the community at the present moment doesn't have a voice if you abstain and don't do what you got elected to do. But the point here is that these meetings are for the public. And if you add up all the time that the public gets, you know, one commentary, my commentary, taking about 6 minutes. When you add up all the time that you guys take, things that could be addressed in your meetings, previous to your meetings, the public doesn't really have a voice. You know, people bring up concerns. There is no follow-up to the concerns. This is just a show. And we are here to let you know, as organizers, as community members, that we intend to democratize this board, meaning that we will engage as community and hold you accountable. And that's what we're pushing for, term limits, because some people feel that they're entitled as some type of inheritance to be here. Okay, the demographics are changing, the dynamics are changing, and so will the character of this board. We will make it democratic, and that's a good thing. Another thing I wanted to address is, right now, as we're dealing with the president intimidating, harassing, and terrorizing the immigrant community, you know, people are resisting all over the place, in schools, in churches, in the streets, everywhere. And one of the things that makes people uncomfortable when documented is having to show IDs, having to give you information, which is not legally required. Schools are dependent on attendance, and that's what was fought so hard on the census, that the question of your immigration status not be included. Why? Because the community is intimidated by that. And when you put obstacles for people to come in here as to what's your address, where do you live, and all that, it's just another way of harassing the community so that our voices are not heard the way they need to be heard. But thank God that we have cameras, that we got ways of writing, and one way or another, what is happening here will be relayed and conveyed to the community. This is an educational institution, and we must have high standards. Follow protocol, follow the rule, and be the best example of it, not arbitrary application when it's convenient for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, no more blue cards?
No more blue.
Okay,
No more blue cards.
thank you. Now we'll go to consent items. These items are considered routine and may be enacted by a single motion. Any items needing discussion may be moved to the appropriate section of the agenda upon the request of any member of the board. May I have a motion to approve, may I have a motion to approve the consent items?
I'll move.
Yesenia Cuarenta made the motion. May I have a second? May I have a second?
I'll second.
Same person can't do both. Same person cannot do both. May I have a second?
I'll go ahead and second, but just to remind you, President Gomez, that you could also second.
Correct. That's correct. Any discussions or any questions on the consent items?
I would like to pull Personnel Report 19-01, pages 11 through 15.
Repeat the pages again, I'm sorry.
They're pages 11 through 15. I would like to pull those for discussion.
Are you asking these to be pulled until after closed session or pulled?
I would like to pull
Altogether.
them for discussion.
For another date or for?
No, to discuss.
Okay. To discuss tonight, you mean, correct?
Yes, to
Okay.
discuss.
for my clarification, you want to pull it to discuss now or discuss at the end?
To discuss now.
Okay.
Okay, so. Well, that doesn't necessitate pulling them. You just need to ask your questions now. Pages 11 through what? I'm sorry.
Pages 11 through 15.
Can you ask your questions, please?
Weren't you given an answer to that on the emails that got sent to us?
Okay, so my question is, what does a district consider temporary? I know that we have a lot of temporary positions, and I know, and the questions that was asked is different than what I'm asking. The question that was asked is, why do we have so many temporary teachers? My question is, what does the district consider temporary?
Dr. Morales, would you like to answer that question? What does the district consider temporary?
Yes, so for,
temporary, based on the ed code. And so, as I did explain, these are folks that are filling a place, backfilling. We have curriculum specialists, program specialists, people who serve as coaches, as teacher on special assignments. For the current year, if something were to change in funding in the school plan, and that position wasn't there, we hold a position.
correct, that was already answered in the email. So my question is, what does a district consider temporary? We already know why we hire temporary positions, to hold the positions that teachers have or other staff that have, which are tenured positions. So my question is, what does a district consider temporary? Is temporary 1 year, 3 years, 6 years? What do we consider temporary?
So if I could continue, what we would do is we have these folks outside of the classroom. And so they might go back into the class, they might come back from a leave of absence. And so that person may no longer be needed. Or the opposite, say we had retirements this year, so we could shift. Some of our temporary folks were moved to their probationary 2 status. And new people that were hired to backfill, who are taking on the new open position from retirees, are now temporary. And folks maybe who've been here for 3 years have moved to the probationary track. So it depends on the number of folks that retire, the number of folks that return back to the class.
So it's still not clear. I mean, it's like, when I speak or I ask questions, it's for my community to understand. This is why I'm here, because I represent my community. And so what you're basically saying is, the temporary position is based on whether there is or not an opening. And then they're placed into a temporary 2 position or a P2.
They're placed in a P2. So say we had our retirees. So we had, I'll give a number, 20 retirees. 20 of our temporary teachers, we were able to move over to the pro track because we know that we now have 20 new spots. With any new teachers that were hired, we're able to move them to temporary, and so now they start and they're part of the backfill. So it could rotate, and it just depends on the number of positions that we have, the number of retirees.
So temporary could be 6 years, 3 years. And so if there's a person that's temporary, let's say, and we don't know the definition, to be concise, let's say they've been teaching for 3 years, then they would, when there's an opening, then they would go into that opening as a probationary 2. P2 means probationary 2nd year. And then when will they become tenure? Does that exist for them?
So they get years, they get credit for their years of temporary status. That's why they move to probationary 2. Then the first day of the next year, they become tenure.
Okay, and is that in the contract or?
It's part of ed code.
Okay.
It's also referred to.
I'm just really concerned because, and I understand holding the position for 1 year, perhaps one of the teachers is a coach and wants to be a coach to be a reading coach for 1 year or what have you, or perhaps be a board member. And now she's a board president at her home district, and she really needs that time. and someone needs to hold a position. That's wonderful. But for me to not, as a board member, not to really know the definition of temporary, it's really alarming because there's no consistency with our students then. There's no buy-in to really want to invest in our students because they might just leave. And so that really worries me, that I know that I wouldn't want to go into temporary position. So I know that there's teachers that we have hired that have been waiting for 3 years. And I'm worried for them to leave because these are good teachers. And so as a board body, we should do something about this. We should really know how to define what temporary means. And there should be board policy on how we hire and how we fire. But that was just my question that is still really unanswered.
Right, so we can send you the edge code that refers to that, that will define temporary. And as far as in our district, there's no definitive time that really moves to go. I was hired 30 years ago as a temporary teacher, and it's a practice that you do as a district, so it's not anything new or different. We're following ed code and really bringing folks in. We care very much about our employees and we'll move them to probationary status when we can.
Could you provide that to all of us? Thank you.
We'll send it with the Wednesday report.
Okay. Any other questions, Board Member De Leon?
No.
Okay. Any other questions by any other board member?
No.
Okay. So none, no other questions. May we have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
And Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes. So the vote was 5-0. Consent items passed. Now we're going to the general services. Oh, that's consent items. Now we're going to the action items. These items are presented for action at this time. Some may have been reviewed by the board at a previous meeting under the conference item sections of the agenda. So we're going to general services 1.1A, resolution 19-01, 2019-2020, board membership. Staff recommendation, adopt resolution 19-01, authorizing membership in association or organizations for a Board of Education member for the 2019-2020 school year. That's on page 71. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
Okay, that was Sonia De Leon made them. I believe it was Sonia De Leon made the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Vivian Hanson made the second. Any discussion, any questions? So none. Can we take a vote?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes. The vote was 5-0. 1.1A passed. Now we're going to 1.2A, 2019 to 2020 compensation of Board of Education members. Staff recommendation, approve compensation per Education Code Section 25120 for the Board of Education members for the 2019-2020 school year. May I have a motion? That's on page 73. I'll make a motion. May I have a motion by Carmen Gomez? May I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member De Leon. Any discussion? No? Okay, and so none. May I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes. We're going to 1.3A, Resolution 19-02, Board Member Compensation for Absent Due to Illness. Staff recommendation, adopt Resolution 19-02, authorizing the compensation of a Board of Education member for a maximum of two board meetings per calendar year when a member cannot attend the meeting due to illness. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
Vivian Hanson made the motion. May I have a second? I will second. President Gomez made the second. Any questions, any discussions? So none. May I have a vote, please?
Yes.
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes. Now we'll go to Human Resources, 2.1A, establishment of a job description for special education data specialist and establish of and employment authorization for one position at 8 hours per day for 12 months. That's on page 76. Staff recommendation, approve the new job description of special education data specialist and establish of and employment authorization for one position at 8 hours per day for 12 months. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
That was Linda Garcia. Made the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Yesenia Cuarenta did the second. Any discussion? So none. May I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Abstain.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes. Motion passed 4-0 with one abstain. 2.1A. Now we're going to Educational Services. 3.1A, intra-SELPA agreements for the 2019-2020 school year for students with low incident disabilities. Staff recommendation, approve the contracts for 44 Paramount Unified School District students who will require deaf and hard of hearing or visual impairment services for the 2019-2000 school year. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay, so that was Vivian Hanson made the second, and I believe Linda Garcia second. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Linda Garcia, any questions, any comments? No? So none. May I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes. The vote was 5-0. 3.1A passed. We're going to 3.2A, non-public school placement for special education students for 2000, it says 2018, 2019. So I don't know if that was a typo or not, but staff recommendation, ratify and approve the placement for special education students in non-public schools as determined by the students' individual education plan for the 2018-2019 school year. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
Okay, that's Linda Garcia made the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Vivian Hanson made the second. Any questions, any comments? So none. May I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes. Vote was 5-0. 3.2A passed. Now we're going to 3.3A, Resolution 19-07, Local Agreement for Child Development Services for the California State Preschool Program 2019-2020 school year. Staff recommendation, adopt Resolution 19-07, the California State Preschool Contract for part-day preschool services provided at Collins, Gaines, Holidale, Keppel, Moakler, Tanner, and Wirtz, in parentheses, Jackson sites, for the 2019-2020 school year. That's on page 87. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
Sonia De Leon made the motion. May I have a second? I'll second. President Gomez made the second. Any discussions, any questions? So none. May I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes, vote was 5-0. 3.3A passed. We're going to 3.4A, non-public and residential, non-sectionary schools, agent agent services, annual master contracts for special education students, 2019-2020 school year. Staff recommendation, approve the non-public, non-sectarian school and/or agency services annual master contracts for the placement of special education students in non-public schools as determined by the student's individual education plan for the 2019-2020 school year. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
That was Linda Garcia that made the motion. Second was Vivian Hanson. Any questions, comments? I do have one. Based on these placements, what are our yearly placement numbers over the past 5 years? and to which agencies? If we can have a report on that?
Will that be part of the special ed study session that we're having? Is that the kind of information that we're going to
That's fine.
look at?
That's fine.
Okay.
I have,
Madam President,
Yes.
Respectfully, would you mind asking the question
Sure.
one more time?
based on these placements, what are our yearly placement numbers over the past 5 years and to which agencies? Those would be part of the special ed, but I would like the information prior, so if I
Okay,
have
so
any
you
other
want it
questions.
prior,
Yes,
okay.
like if I have any questions at the
And
study
the
session.
agency.
Yes.
Yes.
And then my second question to this is, how often does a program specialist meet with the non-public school representative to collaborate and monitor the goals to come back to Paramount?
How often does
The program specialist
program?
meet with the non-public school representative to collaborate and monitor the goals to come back to Paramount? Any other questions or discussions? Mhm. So none, may I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia,
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes, vote was 5-0, 3.4A passed. Now we're going to 3.5A, non-public and residential school placements for special education students, 2019-2020 school year. Staff recommendation, approve the funds for the placement of special education students in non-public schools or residential treatment centers as determined by the student's individual education plan for the 2019-2020 school year, and that's on page 91. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay, so that was Vivian Hanson made the motion and Linda Garcia made a second. Any questions? Any question, any comments? So none, may I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia,
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes, vote was 5-0, 3.5A passed. Now we're going to 3.6A, which is on page 99, Educational Solutions Northwest Interact Mathematical Program. Okay, staff recommendation, approve the contracts request with James Short under Educational Solution Northwest in order to provide professional development to Paramount Unified School District mathematical teachers between July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. May I have a motion? I'll make the motion. Carmen Gomez made the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Yesenia Cuarenta made the second. Any questions, any discussions?
So actually, I do have a question. Is this an extension of his contract or,
Dr. Smith?
This is actually continuing his work for the upcoming year. Odyssey will have, I believe, 3 new math teachers, and we'll have 1 or 2, I believe, from Paramount or Paramount West. And so all of them will, or I'm sorry, forgive me. This is for Odyssey specifically. IMP Interactive Math Program is their specific math curriculum. And so since they're going to have new teachers, we need to provide some support in that curriculum since they're the only school that uses it.
one more question, Dr. Smith. Did we collect data as to how the students did? Yeah.
In this particular curriculum?
Yeah.
We can share some information with you. High school is a little bit tricky because there's only one grade level that tests. So for example, in all of our other grade levels in grades 3 through 8, students take tests in math and English every year. So in high school, there's only one grade level that takes a specific test, and that's in grade 11. We do have some data that we can share with you. For example, our PSAT data, which the students took at Odyssey in particular, they took that in December. Their data was off the charts good, significant improvements, and I'd be happy to share that with the board. We also have some, it's more anecdotal because they're grades, and so they're a little bit more subjective than a standardized testing report, but we can also share some information about how the students did when it comes to I guess their grades, so for lack of a better way of saying it. So we can also share that with you. And then if you recall, and we'd be happy to provide an update, we also have some survey data from the students about their feelings about math in general. And to see those results is pretty powerful because you typically don't get ninth graders saying a whole lot of positive things about their math experience. And if I'm remembering correctly, their response to a question in particular about, I believe that this math class is preparing me well for both college and career, their response was off the charts positive in that particular area, which is impressive because typically ninth graders don't love math a whole lot.
Just to add on to that, Dr. Smith, I know we're working on it, but it sounds like students at Odyssey are really enjoying the math and they're learning it. And just thinking of a mindset, an equitable mindset, ideally in the future, we would love to, or I would love to hear students from the high school, have that same sentiment about their teachers and math as well. So.
Well said, Ms. Quarenta. And I couldn't agree with you anymore. And that's certainly what we're trying to work towards. And in some ways, that's kind of why having an Odyssey in the district is good, because they're doing some different things that we certainly hope will translate in some way over to our high school. To our comprehensive high school. When we set forth on the endeavor to create Odyssey, we talked about new heights and new opportunities. And we also talked very clearly about what are some things that can be translated from Odyssey to the regular comprehensive setting, yet maybe it takes a little bit of a different form. So we're certainly working towards that.
Thank you.
To piggyback off of Board Member Quarenta, I had the same question in mind, but my other question is, do you know how long it would take for this to come to the comprehensive high school? Because, I mean, yes, it's awesome that Odyssey has that, but I mean, it would be really nice to start something at the high school.
I think at some point, if we do have a study session surrounding high school or secondary in general, that wouldn't be a bad topic to have some discussion around because it's.
That planned.
Yes, and Dr. Perez indicated that that was something that we have pending at some point because it's a longer answer. This particular curriculum is significantly different than the curriculum we've offered at the high school or in any of our secondary schools for that matter, in that it's a true integrated math model, and teaching it just takes a different approach. So implementing it or implementing it broadly at a school or in any school that hasn't necessarily ever gone down a road quite like that is not something that you can do overnight. And this is Odyssey's first year with it. And so our hope is that as Odyssey continues to mature and with our new leadership at our comprehensive high school, that we start to kind of learn more about what's working there and start having some conversations with our faculty at the senior campus and West Campus to get them to see that there's some alternative approaches that could have some really important and powerful implications on their practice to see if we can build some buy-in and some willingness to start trying it.
Is there any possibility we can, I know not right now, but in the future, to start small at the high school? Not all ninth graders, not all, but at least take, say, a class or two and see how that model fits the high school comprehensive and then start from there.
I believe there is. I certainly think there's some opportunity for that. And in fact, we've tried that with a couple of different approaches at the senior campus, West Campus and senior campus. So for example, at West Campus, we have some algebra specific sections. There's an item coming up, I believe, or actually it might've been in consent, where we're embedding coding into Algebra 1 to help make the algebra experience more relevant and more meaningful, and also to engage students. And plus, if that's successful, we'd like to make that broader to ensure equity when it comes to coding experiences, because that's a big time topic right now. Likewise, for students we've identified that are struggling learners in math, we've implemented a different curriculum to supplement and enhance the existing curriculum in math through Carnegie Learning, which takes a blended learning model. And we're in our second year of that. And that's been, there's been some challenges with implementing it, but we have seen some successes in terms of student grades and outcomes and things like that. So I think you're spot on. There are some entry points that we can certainly look at to try to get things going with this particular curriculum. in our comprehensive high school. And over the course of the next year, Dr. Francois and I will work closely with West Campus probably to start to see if there's a group maybe in one of our CTE pathways where we can start to embed this and see if it takes root.
Okay, I would like to see that. Thank you. Also, on this contract, since you're answering the questions, on page 101, for the Educational Solution Northwest contact information, we have his name, but we don't have the title. And it does say name/title. So if we can add the title to the contract, that'll be nice.
Not a problem at all. We'll take care of that.
Thank you.
I believe he's an associate. I believe he is. But regardless, prior to signing, we'll get that information to Mr. Frutos.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions regarding 3.6A? No? None said? May I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes, the vote 5.0 passed, 3.6A. Now we're going to 3.7A, which is on page 102. Carl D. Perkins Grant Application for Paramount Adult School. Staff recommendation, approve the submission of the application, Carl D. Perkins Grant for the 2019-2020 school year for Paramount Adult School. May I have a motion?
I'll move. I'll second.
Did you, was it Cuarenta or who made the motion? Oh, Sonia De Leon, sorry. And then Linda Garcia made the second. Any questions, any discussions? So none, may I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes. The vote was 5-0, 3.7A passed. Now we're going to 3.8A, Hanusen Software Contract Renewal. Staff recommendation, approve the purchase of the renewal Naviance software program for 2019-2020 school year. May I have a motion?
I'll move. I'll second.
Sonia De Leon Vivian Hanson made the motion. Linda Garcia made a second. Any questions, any discussions? With the corrections that we made before to add the taxes on there. So none, may I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes, vote was 5-0, 3.8A pass. Now we're going to page 111, 3.9A, physical education exemption for high school students. Staff recommendation, approve physical education exemptions for students who meet the criteria for either the 2-year exemption or the permanent exemption. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
Sonia De Leon made the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Linda Garcia made the second. Any questions, any comments? So none, may I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes, vote was 5-0, 3.9A passed. Now we're going to 3.10A, Agreement of Life Mentor Program Consultant. Staff recommendation, approve the agreement with Life Mentor Program Consultant to provide high school age youth the opportunity to examine and experience life-ready principles through small group discussion and community-based projects. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
Gisenia Cuarenta made the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Linda Garcia made a second. Any questions, any comments? So none, may I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson stepped away. Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Vote was 4-0, Hanson stepped away, so vote was 4-0, motion passed, 3.10A. Now we're going to business services, 4.1A, notices of completion field service contracts on page 127. Staff recommendation, accept as completed the field service contracts for network cabling installation in 12 rooms at Mogler, carpentry repairs at Wirtz, interior painting and 16 rooms at Wirtz, and replace interior LED lighting district-wide, and authorize the superintendent or designee to file the notices of completion and make payment to all contracted parties upon expiration of the lien period and determination that no liens are outstanding. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
That was Linda Garcia made a motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Sonia De Leon made a second. Any questions, any comments? So none, may we please have a vote?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson stepped away. Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
And Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes, vote was 4-0, 4.1A passed. Now we're going to 4.2A, ratification, bid summary, concrete and carpentry field service contracts. Staff recommendation to approve the above mentioned contracts to the lowest responsive bidders as identified on page 129. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
That was Linda Garcia made a motion. May I have a second? I'll second. Any questions, any comments? So none, may I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson stepped away. Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes. So it was the vote was 4-0. 4.2A passed. Now we're going to 4.3A, service agreement, Butler's Chemicals Incorporated. Staff recommendation, authorize staff to enter into a service agreement with Butler Chemicals Incorporated and further authorize the superintendent or designee to execute all necessary documents on page 130. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
Yesenia Cuarenta made the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Linda Garcia made a second. Any questions, any comments? So none, may I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes, vote was 5-0. 4.3A passed. We're going to 4.4A, service agreement, Action Duct Cleaning Company Kitchen Services. Staff recommendation, authorize staff to enter into a service agreement with Action Duct Cleaning Company and further authorize the superintendent or designee to execute all necessary documents.
I'll move.
Okay, so that was Vivian Hanson made the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Linda Garcia made a second. Any questions, any comments? So none, may I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes, the vote was 5-0. 4.4A passed. We're going to 4.5A, consulting agreement, Lynette Rock Consultant, R.D, SNA. Staff recommendation, approve the consulting agreement with Miss Lynette Rock and authorize the superintendent or designee to execute all necessary documents. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
That was Linda Garcia made the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Yesenia Cuarenta made the second. Any questions, any comments? Oh, yes. Recommendation, which one was that? Oh, yes, thank you. I asked for clarification before this meeting of what's the difference between community eligibility provision and the provision 2 for the new board that we, at least I don't understand, so.
Mr. Frutos?
Happy to provide the information. The community eligibility provision is a meal option.
It's just- it doesn't have-
Started
Your mic.
You don't have your mic on.
This one is having some issues. The community eligibility provision is a system that the district entered into last year that allowed for a significant change in how we provide meals to our students. You may remember that in the past, we used to have free, reduced, and paid. That means students that had high poverty got free, students that showed need got reduced cost, and students that couldn't paid. We entered into a community eligibility provision last year by qualifying the majority of our schools, and that allows us to serve breakfast and lunch for free to all our students. After about a year, our goal was to review the program, see how we are doing. Are we able to recover cost and continue the process? And we are looking at some of our schools that have a margin of qualification for CEP that might need to go to Provision 2. Provision 2 also allows us to provide the meals for free, but it creates a set of standards where every 4 years we have to create baselines. It's a little more information, And the reason that you do that is that you can then qualify for funding that you couldn't get under the basic community eligibility provision. So we needed 1 year under this program to see where do we fit, and this person will allow us to do the calculations to put each school into the right fit and still allow us to continue providing these meals for free. That's how it works.
So, from my understanding, I'm kind of a little confused here. How many schools are in Provision 2 then?
Well, that's what we're about to look to see how many. None last year. We were all CEP. We are looking at least 4 for next year. And then as we analyze, our goal is to continue providing free meals, but in the right category as we get more data.
And if we do put them in this year, you mentioned 4 years, we're counting the 4 years as of this year?
As
So
of last year,
1920?
because you create a base year.
Oh,
So
so
we will look at
18,
the analysis to create a base year for Provision 2, and that allows you to go for 4 years.
So from 18 to 19, 19, 20, 21. Okay, perfect. Okay. Any other questions? No? Thank you very much for your clarification. Okay, so no more questions, no more comments. May I have a motion, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
And Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes. Vote was 5-0, 4.58 passed. Now we're going to 4.6A on page 144. Resolution 19-03, intra-fund cash transfers. Staff recommendation, adopt resolution 19-03, intra-fund cash transfers. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
Vivian Hanson made the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Is that Linda Garcia? Okay, Linda Garcia made a second. Any questions, any comments? I did have one, and have we had these transfers in the past?
Mr. Frutos.
Yes, the district does these next few resolutions every year, and it allows for the business of the district to be carried even if funds from the state have not arrived, as we have funds available. The county treasurer then uses our funds to pay for any required needs, and as the funds arrive for a particular fund, they make the right deposits. This is an annual event that we do, not only for this resolution, but for the next 3 or 4 resolutions that you will see.
So every year, these resolutions will come to us with the same, but probably different,
Just
different
different
amount.
fiscal year. The
Right.
amounts have remained the same for some years, but we just follow the county treasurer and the county, and every district does this in order to maintain the pooled money in the county treasurer.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, any comments? So none, may I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
And Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes. Vote was 5-0, 4.6A passed. We're going to 4.7A, Resolution 19-4, temporary transfers from the school pool fund maintained by the Los Angeles County Treasurer. Staff recommendation, adopt Resolution 19-04, temporary transfers from the school pool fund maintained by the Los Angeles County Treasurer. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
Linda Garcia made the motion. May I have a second? I'll second. Carmen Gomez second. May I have any questions, any comments? So none. May I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
And Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes. The vote was 5-0. 4.7A passed. We're going to 4.8A, Resolution 19-05, temporary interfund borrowing. Staff recommendation, adopt Resolution 19-05, temporary interfund borrowing between any of the district's operating funds as needed during the 2019-2020 fiscal year. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
Vivian Hanson made the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Linda Garcia made a second. Any questions, any comments? So none. May we have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
And Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes, vote was 5-0, 4.8A passed. We're going to 4.9A, Resolution 19-06, Annual Delegation of Administrative Authority to Process Routine Budget Revisions, Adjustments, and Transfers. Staff recommendation, adopt Resolution 19-06, authorizing the Los Angeles County Superintendent of Schools to process routine budget revisions, adjustments, and transfers. May I have a motion?
I'll second.
Okay, so Sonia De Leon made a motion and Linda Garcia made a second. Any questions, any comments? So none, may I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes. Vote was 5-0. 4.9A passed. Now we're going to 4.10A, bid number 10-18-19, Captain Raymond Collins, relocatables. Staff recommendation, authorize staff to review, award, and execute all necessary documents for the completion of this project. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
Vivian Hanson made the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Linda Garcia made, was that Linda Garcia?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Linda Garcia made a second. Any questions?
I'd just like to make a comment, President Gomez, that we
Yes.
met with Executive, Dr. Frutos to be specific, last week. And he gave us he answered a lot of our questions regarding this action item. So thank you.
Yes, he did. And one thing I noticed is that the 1, I don't know millions, billions, 1,921, I think it says $1,921,000 should be divided by 8, which is $240,125 each portable. Just for the record. Because that was a large amount. I needed to make sure. Okay, any others? No. Questions, comments? No? So none. May I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia.
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes, the vote was 5-0. 4.10A passed. Information items, these items are intended to keep the board informed on various district businesses matters that do not require formal action by the board.
Board members, I have two information items for you this evening. I'm sorry. Board members, I have a few information items available for you this evening. One is, as we prepare for the beginning of the school year in August, provided for you are the beginning and end times for schools. And on the back of this particular information item are the times that each school will be open and closed at the end of the day, or the instructional day ends, as well as for a minimum day. We also have, are there any questions, board members, related to the instructional minutes and the beginning and ending times for schools?
No.
Okay. The second item, 3.2I, is a program self-evaluation report for state preschool. We are required, since we are funded by California State Preschool, to provide a report, and we have to do a program self-evaluation finding report. And for your information, the state preschool program in our district meets all of the compliance standards at this time. And finally, board members, as required by EDCO, the Williams Settlement Quarterly Uniform Complaint Summary Report is provided for you. And on the back of the item, you will see that we have 0 complaints. And that concludes, Madam President, the information section of the board meeting.
Okay. Announcements. Next special meeting Tuesday, August 6, 2019 at 5:30, and regular meeting Monday, August 12, 2019, 6 p.m. Both of them will be at the boardroom of the district office. I have asked Superintendent Perez that for the August meeting, we will have signs on each corner of the streets and a big sign here at the door so that our constituents know where the meeting's at and they know which door to come into, because sometimes the constituents have told me that they get confused about which door to enter for the meeting. So that will be done and for the August meeting. Staff employee comment per government code 54957 prior to the close of the session. As necessary, staff employee comments are taken per government code 54957. Anyone have any questions, any comments before I close this meeting? Meeting closed at 8:34 p.m. We're going to be going into closed session. At closed session, July 8, 2019, number 1, Conference of Labor Negotiator per Government Code 54957.6. District Negotiator Myrna Morales, Legal Counsel James Romo, CSEA and TAP. would be the topics, I guess. Number 2, public employee discipline, dismissal, release per Government Code 54957.6. And number 3 is public employment per Government Code 54957, A, assistant principals, and B, dean of students. So we will be going into closed session, so we'll see you in a few.